In breaking news, historic news, unprecedented news, Chief Justice John Roberts, not waiting around for a court hearing or a case to write it in, has opened a dialogue and rebuked Donald Trump in public, telling him to back off calls to impeach federal judges, that that's not the way. The way is through appeal. What got his ire up? What got Chief Justice Roberts' ire up this morning? Donald Trump posting on social media a blatant, violent attack on the chief judge of the D.C. District Court, Chief Judge Boasberg, because he doesn't like the fact that Boasberg is blocking Donald Trump's phony use of war powers to deport people under the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. And Chief Justice Roberts of the Supreme Court has had enough. I've never seen a statement made like this outside of a court. I'm going to break it down for you, tell you why I'm so excited here on Legal AF. How do we get here? As we've been following the last 3 days, Chief Judge Boasberg is presiding over a case as to whether Donald Trump, yes or no, properly exercised his powers under the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to deport Venezuelans to a supermax brutal prison in El Salvador. Are we at war or not? Has there been a declaration of war or not? Is there an imminent invasion or not? Are the Venezuelans enemy combatants or not? All good questions for a federal judge to answer once there's been a challenge. And there is a challenge brought by the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union. And the judge entered an injunction, not one, but two injunctions that he discussed over a 2-hour hearing. At the same time, he blocked Donald Trump and his Department of Justice and the rest of the Trump administration from continuing to deport under the Alien Enemies Act. There's already a hearing that's broken out that I covered from last night about whether the Trump administration violated those orders. Well, Donald Trump didn't like any of it. And so he woke up and started attacking, as we've seen before, the federal judges. Forget that. The Trump administration is in open defiance of federal judge orders calling for a constitutional crisis. And John Roberts, the Chief Justice, has decided to break in and try to back Donald Trump off and send him back to his corner. Here's what we woke up to this morning off of the ruling from last night. The radical left lunatic of a judge, that's Boasberg, a troublemaker and agitator who was sadly appointed by Barack Hussein Obama. I mean, this is the chief judge of the D.C. District Court, who has served valiantly and appointed by Chief Justice Roberts, by the way. There's a link there. Chief Justice Roberts appointed Boasberg to be on the FISA court, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. And he served there for 5 years. He also served on alien deportation courts as part of his thing. I mean, he's on the short list to be on the Supreme Court if a Democrat gets back in power. But I digress. Of course, you always have to have the Hussein Obama in there. He was not elected president. Right. We understand how branches of government work. He didn't win the popular vote by a lot. I mean, he won by a certain amount over Kamala Harris. He didn't win all 7 swing states. He didn't win 2750 to 525 counties. Not even sure what that means. He didn't win anything. I won for many reasons and an overwhelming mandate, but fighting illegal immigration may have been my one reason for this historic victory. I'm just doing what the voters want. And here we have crooked judges. He should be impeached, right? That was his posting at 9:05 this morning, to which the Chief Justice just responded about an hour ago, so 3 hours after that posting. For more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision, Roberts said in a statement. The normal appellate review process exists for that purpose. I mean, let's just break down the unprecedented nature of that development. Chief justices and justices in general, they don't speak except in court proceedings, in court orders, or when they're given speeches, okay? And we have a number of cases that are going to be up in front of this court and are already there involving the Trump administration. Chief Justice Roberts, just after the joint speech where he got an unwanted, it was a battery. It was an unwanted touching by Donald Trump. Thank you, I'll never forget you. And the face that he had along with Amy Coney Barrett. And then later that day, they ruled against the Trump administration and ordered them to release $2 billion in international aid. Chief Justice Roberts may be many things, but he's certainly his own person. And he's decided he needs to put on the hat of being the chief administrator of the court and protect one of his own, somebody that he's obviously close with Judge Boasberg. But I don't think that matters. And so he, apropos of nothing, with cases coming down the pipe and in the pipeline to the United States Supreme Court involving Donald Trump, took a moment out of his day to immediately respond to the president of the United States. Hi, this is the head of the Article 3 branch. Can I have the head of the Article 2 branch, please? Oh, yes, Trump, yeah. Back off your impeachment comments. It's inappropriate. Now, Donald Trump has done it all so far. He's gone after law firms like Perkins Coie, and he's gone after Covington and Burling because he doesn't like who they represent. He's gone after Department of Justice lawyers and bounced them from the Department of Justice because he doesn't like them either because they went after him. He's attacked federal judges and state judges before, including their families, when he was a criminal defendant or a defendant in a sex assault case, civil case, or a defendant in a fraud case. He attacked them all, right? He attacked Lewis Kaplan, a federal judge who presided over a sex assault case. He attacked Judge Merchan, who presided over his 34-count felony conviction, and his wife and his daughter. He went after Judge Engoron and his wife and his law clerk, who presided over the fraud case. He went after Judge Chutkin, who presided over his D.C. election interference criminal case. He went after Jack Smith. It's the same vocabulary. They're lunatics. They're corrupt. They should all be impeached. You know how many times in the history of America we've had an impeachment of a federal judge? 15 in 250 years plus, all for corruption like bribery. And you got to get 2/3 of the House and the Senate to approve an impeachment. But it's supposed to have a chilling effect, right? It's supposed to back off federal judges from doing their job, and that's what Chief Justice Roberts is concerned about. So he put down his cereal spoon or his coffee mug, and he was like, let me put on my black robe. It's like his cape. We put on my back. I got one superpower. I can issue a statement. And he issued the statement. Now, Donald Trump is not, let's just put it this way. He's not going to like this statement. Whether he attacks Chief Justice Roberts or not, that's going to be a calculus he's going to make about whether that's going to work for him. The patting the guy on the back and trying to fist bump him at this joint speech, the phony State of the Union, that didn't work. Roberts has sided with him on immunity on criminal issues, for sure. He decided not to preside over an impeachment proceeding involving Donald Trump and the Jan 6 things because he wasn't a president at the time. So he's given him a solid a couple of times. But do I think Chief Justice Roberts is the one that you'd want to attack now and bash if you're Donald Trump? I don't think so. Especially if that leads to him disqualifying himself or being recused from the case. He might go, you know what? I've already made my statement about Judge Boasberg. I don't feel I can preside in good conscience over this case anymore. I'm out. What does that mean? That means there's effectively a stalemate of Amy Coney Barrett sides with the Democrats on any ruling involving this Alien Enemies Act. 4-4, that's no ruling. They can't rule unless they have a majority. And if Amy Coney Barrett, as I think she will side with Ketanji Brown Jackson, Kagan, and Sotomayor, it's 4-4 tie. Supreme Court's hands are tied. Careful what you look for. Careful who you attack, Trump. Because if you attack Roberts and he backs out, you're screwed. And if you lose him as a vote in general, because now he's signaled that he has a bit of disdain for Donald Trump, a bit of scorn for Donald Trump. It's not a good place for Donald Trump to be right now. I am sure that they have completely miscalculated Roberts and having them on his side and what he would do with calls for impeachment. They called him out. What did they think he was going to do? Just sit by and let Judge Boasberg be bashed as a judge who works for him, who he likes, who he appointed to a major position? I don't think so. But this is the half-baked schematic and scheme within Donald Trump's administration. He has low-light lawyers, who were fired from their law firms or left their law firms to work for him as a criminal lawyers who got elevated to the Department of Justice, a place they don't belong. He's fired all the other lawyers that would have spoken truth to power and told them the truth. And he's brought in all these half-baked people. His legal strategy is really led by Stephen Miller, who's not even a lawyer, who's the deputy White House chief of staff. Alina Habba, who's a White House counselor. She's been kind of quiet lately. This is where he's getting his guidance from. Are they approving his social media post, then they miscalculated by a lot. They're too smart by half about what Roberts would do in response. So we'll continue to follow. We just got what we don't normally get. We got to use a little can opener and get inside the brain and the mind of Chief Justice Roberts. And if Amy Coney Barrett sides with Roberts, the Trump administration is in for a bumpy ride of their own making. We'll continue to follow it right here on Legal AF. Come back every hour. We got so much to talk about. My team said they're already exhausted as of 9 o'clock this morning based on all the rulings that are coming out. But this is why we created Legal AF with you and for you right before the election. For this break the glass moment, believing that Donald Trump would be as crazed and lurching from one abuse of power and constitutional crisis to another. I can't think of a better place for you to be on the YouTube dial than Legal AF. So until my next reporting, I'm Michael Popok. I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popok Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popok Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popok Firm today at 1-877-POPOK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopokfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popok Firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.